In 1999, this company was so close to death that a French carmaker had to fly in and rescue it. Nissan was drowning in debt, losing money on almost every model it sold, and weeks away from collapse. Then a man named Carlos Ghosn arrived, performed one of the most famous turnarounds in business history, and turned Nissan into a global giant. 25 years later, it's happening all over again. Nissan just posted a net loss of around $4.5 billion, the largest annual loss in its history. It is closing 7 of its 17 factories worldwide. It is cutting 20,000 jobs. Its debt has been downgraded to junk status by the rating agencies, making it the only major automaker in that position. And it even put its own iconic Yokohama headquarters tower, a building reportedly worth around $700 million, on the list of things it might have to sell. Nissan is not bankrupt. Let's be clear about that from the start. But it is fighting for its life, and this time there may be no Ghosn coming to save it. Because the man who rescued Nissan is also, in a strange way, the man who set up its downfall. This is the story of how a company was saved from the brink, built into a titan, and then driven back to the edge by the very strategy that once made it great. It comes in 3 parts: the rescue that made Nissan legendary, the scandal that tore the head off the company overnight, and the slow collapse that followed. If you enjoy these rise and fall stories, take a second to subscribe and hit like. It genuinely helps this channel dig up more of them. Now let's go back to 1999. By the late 1990s, Nissan was one of the great names of Japanese engineering, and it was dying. The company had been losing money for most of the decade. It was buried under enormous debt. Its factories were running well below capacity. Its model range was bloated and unfocused, and its costs were out of control. Nissan was, by most reasonable measures, weeks or months away from failure. It needed a rescuer, and it found one in an unexpected place: France. The French carmaker Renault took a major stake in Nissan, forming what became one of the most important alliances in the industry. And Renault sent a man to fix it. His name was Carlos Ghosn, a Brazilian-born, Lebanese-French executive with a reputation for ruthless cost-cutting. In Japan, he was an outsider in every possible way, a foreigner sent by a foreign company to take a scalpel to a national institution. What he did next became a business school legend. Ghosn closed factories. He slashed the supplier network, breaking decades-old Japanese business relationships. He cut tens of thousands of jobs. He killed unprofitable models. It was brutal, and in Japanese corporate culture, almost unthinkable. And it worked. Nissan roared back to profitability faster than almost anyone believed possible. Ghosn became a superstar, a man so admired in Japan that he was turned into the hero of a manga comic. He was, for a while, one of the most celebrated executives on the planet. But look closely at the machine he built, because the seeds of today's crisis are right here in the miracle itself. Ghosn's Nissan was built on volume and scale. Sell more cars, in more markets, at lower cost. Chase market share relentlessly. And to keep that volume climbing, Nissan leaned harder and harder on one tool in particular: discounting. Heavy incentives to move metal off the lots. That works brilliantly in the short run. The sales numbers look magnificent, but it does something corrosive over time. Customers learn to wait for the discount instead of paying full price. Resale values sag. And the brand, the thing that lets Toyota or Honda charge a premium, quietly cheapens. Nissan was chasing short-term volume while rivals like Toyota and Volkswagen were investing in long-term brand value. Remember this, because in 20 years, it will be one of the reasons Nissan can't charge enough for its cars to survive. For a while, it didn't matter. Nissan was huge, profitable, and genuinely innovative. In 2010, it did something remarkable. It launched the Leaf, becoming one of the first major automakers in the world to mass-produce a fully electric car. Think about that. Nissan was an EV pioneer. It was years ahead of almost everyone. It had the technology, the factories, and the head start in the single biggest transformation the car industry has ever faced. And then, in November 2018, the entire company was decapitated in a single day. Carlos Ghosn, the savior, the legend, the man who was simultaneously running Renault, Nissan, and Mitsubishi, was arrested in Tokyo on allegations of financial misconduct. The most powerful executive in the global car industry was suddenly in a Japanese jail cell. The company he had rebuilt was thrown into chaos. He spent months in detention, always maintaining his innocence. And then, at the end of 2019, he did something almost unbelievable. He fled Japan while awaiting trial, reportedly smuggled out of the country, and reappeared in Lebanon, beyond the reach of Japanese prosecutors. You cannot overstate what this did to Nissan. Overnight, the company lost the only leader it had known for 2 decades. Its alliance with Renault was thrown into confusion, with mistrust running in both directions. And the sheer spectacle of the scandal did lasting damage to the brand's image. Nissan entered what would become one of the most unstable periods in its modern history. Leadership churning, strategy drifting, and no single figure with the authority to force through hard decisions. And it happened at the worst possible moment. Because just as Nissan lost its head, the entire car industry was entering its greatest upheaval in a century. Here is the tragedy of the modern collapse, and it's a pattern this channel has seen again and again. Nissan had the head start in electric vehicles. It built the Leaf when Tesla was still a curiosity. And then, distracted by scandal and starved of investment, it let that lead evaporate completely. Tesla surged ahead. And in China, the market that at one point accounted for a huge share of Nissan's profits, a wave of domestic manufacturers like BYD came out of nowhere with cheap, sophisticated electric cars. China's shift to EVs was faster than anyone predicted. Nissan's lineup aged. Its EV offerings became uncompetitive. In some cases, the company was losing money on the electric cars it did sell. Now stack up the pressures hitting Nissan all at once. An aging model range that customers weren't excited by. Chinese rivals undercutting it on price and beating it on technology. Discount-dependent pricing that had trained buyers to never pay full price. American tariffs adding to costs. Rising production expenses. And a merger with Honda, which could have given it the scale to fight back, that fell apart in talks. The numbers turned catastrophic. For the fiscal year ending March 2025, Nissan reported a net loss of roughly 670 billion yen, about $4.5 billion, the largest annual deficit in its history. The following year brought a second consecutive annual loss of more than 500 billion yen. Moody's downgraded Nissan's credit to non-investment grade, junk status, leaving it, by some assessments, the only major automaker rated that way. And so the company reached for the same medicine that saved it in 1999. The plan is called Re-Nissan, and it is savage. Cut around 20,000 jobs, roughly 15% of the global workforce. Shrink from 17 factories down to about 10, closing 7 plants, including the historic Oppama facility in Japan. Slash roughly 500 billion yen in costs. Sell assets, including a stake in Mitsubishi, and consider selling the Yokohama headquarters tower itself. Read that list again and notice something haunting. It is almost exactly what Carlos Ghosn did in 1999. Close the factories, cut the jobs, slash the costs. Nissan is running the same emergency playbook a second time, 25 years later, to escape the same trap. The rescue didn't cure the disease, it bought time. So where does that leave Nissan today? Let's be precise, because the internet is full of exaggeration on this. Nissan is not going out of business. It still had over $15 billion in cash and equivalents. It is still one of the largest car makers on Earth, selling millions of vehicles. Its plan targets a return to profitability, and it is betting on new models, a next-generation Leaf, and solid-state battery technology to claw its way back. But the danger is real, and it's concentrated in one place: debt. Nissan faces a spike in debt repayments, reported at around $5.6 billion in 2026, several times its previous obligations, at exactly the moment its credit rating has been downgraded, which makes borrowing more expensive. A company with junk-rated debt, shrinking margins, and a massive repayment wall is a company with very little room for error. One bad year, one failed model launch, one more shock, and the options narrow fast. So let's count what has actually happened to Nissan. The largest annual loss in its history, around $4.5 billion. 20,000 jobs, gone. 7 of 17 factories, closing. Its credit rating, cut to junk. Its legendary CEO, arrested and then a fugitive in Lebanon. Its head start in electric vehicles, genuinely years ahead of the world, squandered entirely, and its own headquarters listed among assets that might have to be sold. Here is the lesson buried in all of it. Carlos Ghosn's rescue was real, and it was brilliant, but it fixed the symptoms: the costs, the bloat, the debt, while building a machine that depended on ever-growing volume and ever-deeper discounts. It made Nissan bigger without making it stronger. And when the leader vanished and the technology shifted, there was nothing underneath to hold it up. That's the rise, fall, rescue, and second fall of Nissan. A company saved from the brink by a foreign outsider, rebuilt into a giant, decapitated by scandal, and now running the exact same emergency plan it ran a quarter of a century ago. Because here's the truth, this channel keeps digging up. A turnaround that cuts costs, but never fixes the foundation, isn't a cure, it's a delay. And the bill always comes back. If you made it this far, subscribe and hit that like button. There are plenty more empires built and buried, and we dig up a new one every time. Thank you for watching.